little bit sidetracked.
I was going to predict that already, because it's like, and
Okay.
and that's really normal with my students, because it's like you just stumble into stuff. Sometimes it's just stuff at our site, or sometimes it's something you hear on the radio, and it's like, oh man, I got to learn that one.
Yeah. Well,
So,
no, this happened to be your lesson of the week, the John Denver,
oh,
um, back home again.
okay, good,
And the reason that I mean, I guess the reason, well, I like the song,
sure,
and all, but it has, in this particular case, um, it seemed to be doable, finger picking wise, which
yeah,
is nice. Um, and and it was flat picking doable.
right.
So those turned out to be two different challenges, but that's what I've been working on.
Perfect. It's funny how that materialized because one of my other students, Sandy, asked me like a couple days before. She wanted to work on. She plays a lot of open mic things. She and her
Oh,
she
yeah,
and her
you
significant
mentioned that.
other,
Yeah.
they do that, right?
Yeah.
And some of them have themes. They said, hey, next week we need everybody to do something that's got related to murder and mayhem.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, that's kind of, there's a lot of old English ballads that are about that, kind of stuff. And then she said, and then there's this John Denver song, and I knew immediately what she was talking about. It's Darcy Farrow, which is, it's a young Vandy in his pain
Yeah.
put a bullet through his brain. I mean, and when you hear John sing it, it just sounds like this happy-go-lucky song, but it's a Romeo and Juliet, murder suicide story, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
anyway, and it has a very complicated introduction that John put together. The guitar's doing this really nice thing. And when I finished it and put it up, I looked at what we had for John Denver songs, and I thought, oh man, we have 4 John Denver songs. We usually try to put together packs of 5 songs by different artists. And I thought, oh, I got to do another John Denver one. And that one just popped in my head. I was kind of surprised that I had never put it up because it's a song I used to
Oh,
teach everybody. And I always used to just teach it as a strumming song because it really is an easy kind of country thing. You have one bar chord you have to play in there. We got the F sharp minor, I guess.
okay.
But then, and it wasn't until I went back and listened to it now more carefully, just like 2 weeks ago or so, that I heard the finger picking guitar in it, and that's what John's doing. And it's a very simple pattern,
Yeah.
and actually, it might have been that I watched a live version of it and noticed that that's what he was doing first. And I thought, man, I've never taught anybody to do this finger picking, but it's like it's the easiest pattern you can, well, the second easiest pattern you can do, but because what it does have is the 3 bass notes, the 3 bass string pattern, rather than just 2 back and forth.
Oh,
But
right.
then otherwise it's just alternating fingers. It's like, the other song we probably talked about that's very similar is Landslide. That's another one I like to have people start because the picking doesn't have any pinch. It's not like the Boxer or stuff with it does get more complicated. So, but anyway, and it's a great song. It's just
Yeah.
yeah, so um
And the other thing is, it's one of those where I can hear where things go, like the passing bass notes. That's
yeah,
already baked in. And so it's a question of trying to execute that. I mean, I looked at the lesson and all
mhm,
on that, and trying to smoothly execute it. But I'm actually trying to do it both ways,
sure.
because the strumming part is, we had to actually split the time here
Sure.
between two things. And but that and just trying to remember the progression, which I think I've got.
So a suggestion on that is try to hear when the chords change. It's like anticipate them, even if you can't remember which one it was. It's like, oh, it can't stay here. It's got to go someplace. And there's only a couple choices of where it can go because we don't have like 18 chords in this song. You know,
Right,
it's not
right.
Sweet Baby James that has got at least 12. But and they're all very similar. So it's anyway. But
Yeah,
so this is really straightforward, and I think the more you try to get through it without the music and just force yourself to figure it out by ear, the better. The quicker you'll memorize it.
yeah, yeah. And well, that's pretty much what I've been doing. Well,
Yeah.
I'll just play some of it. That's it. I'll just
Yeah, let's hear that finger picking pattern.
yeah. Okay, okay. Can you hear me? I don't know if this is
Yeah, yeah, that's coming through.
okay. 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 Well,
a second. Okay, so let's break it. Let's cut it down to one thing less. That was good. You've got your fingers in the right places, right? This finger's on the third string, and this one's on the second string.
Yep.
And you're always following a thumb with a finger, and they're always alternating, right? It's this one, then it's 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2.
Right.
And right there, I think trying to do the 3 bass notes got it. So do it without the third bass note, meaning just go from 6 to 4 in the bass first, so that you're just doing.
Oh.
So we're not using the.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a good way to warm that up. Is start with, take one element out, which is the double alternating bass notes.
Okay.
And just get it rolling so that you got the math kind of there. And then the only thing you have to think about is changing the third bass note.
Right.
Right. So that's how I would always warm this up. Is just do it with 2 bass notes first.
Okay.
And then once you've kind of got that, and it's fairly like subconscious that you can now be hearing how it sounds like the song or whatever. Then bring in that other bass note. So try that. Do again like maybe 4 or 5 times through without the 5th string, and then try to switch into it.
Okay. So.
Yeah. See, that worked. As soon as you switched into it, it wasn't exactly right the first time, but the second time it was, and then you kept that rolling, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me
Go ahead, do a few more of those.
see if I can make the transition here.
Careful, your right hand, your hand's drifting a little bit. Your right hand, it's not on the right strings. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Drifting.
Your fingers were heading closer to your thumb. You kind of like got one string off there, and so then the thumb got stuck on just 6 and 5 because this finger was starting to hit 4.
Okay.
So you got to keep working on that spacing.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Almost. Not quite. Bass not. So. So it doesn't go back to E.
Doesn't go back. No, goes to here.
Yeah. And where are you going to start in the bass? Do that again.
That's not where it goes.
Right. You start the chorus. So if it doesn't go to E, what must it do?
Well, it doesn't go to B7, does it?
I don't know. Try it. Play a measure of A and see how it sounds.
Yeah. No, that doesn't sound right.
Okay. So listen to it. Well, I'll just kind of strum through the chords there. So we've got sort of out of sight so you can just hear what's happening there. Oh wait, first question. Do you hear when you get the right bass notes or when you get the wrong bass note?
Yeah, I do if I when I think about the timing of the whole thing and
Yeah.
swing time, I think about that as um, well, I do hear it. Yeah, I do hear it. I mean, I know when I'm missing those.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the question. Yes, I do.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
uh, so sometimes another good thing to practice on the side is just that bass pattern without any fingers. Just and get that in your head and make sure that's what you're listening for. Um, Anytime you're doing this type of finger picking, we've got kind of like multiple layers of stuff happening in music, or in with what we're doing here, with as far as the notes we hit, you know.
Right.
So I don't know if I even say it's just two layers. It's almost like there's more layers than two even here, because the bass is hitting these three notes as part of it. But so that almost makes it like a double layer there, because every second bass note is this one. Every beats 2 and 4, you're always hitting this, but then beats 1 and 3 are alternating these two, right? So we've got 1 and 3 are alternating on their own little layer, let's say, and then beats 1 and 3, and then beats 2 and 4 are just like what we call in music, kind of oddly coincidentally, we call those the off beats, because they're not the strong beats in the measure, but they're the even numbered beats. It's beats 2 and 4 would be what we call off beats. And so that's where we always have our second bass note. And in this pattern, that's consistent. It's like the second bass note is always the same.
Right.
But the first bass note has two different things that are alternating back and forth. And sometimes it's 6 and 5, and sometimes it's 5 and 6, depending on which chord you're on.
Right.
Right? So the A and B chords that have the root on the fifth string, of course, have string 5 on beat 1 and string 6 on beat 3.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so where I was kind of going with that is that if I think you can only really consciously listen to one part at a time, either the bass or the fingers. And the other part you have to kind of listen to is like your peripheral brain and hearing. That you can't really stay focused on two things. If two people walk up to you and read something into each ear, the chances of you being able to get either one right are pretty slim. Right. Unless you can shut one off.
Right.
And really focus on this one.
Right. Right.
Then you're so that's kind of like the technique for doing that, right? Is like to sort through the noise. Okay. And so what I'm getting at here is you're probably more focused on hitting the right fingers. And if you hit a wrong bass note, it's harder to notice that if that's your subconscious or your peripheral hearing.
Yeah.
But if you make that the focus of what you're listening to, and you make this the subconscious part, chances are this will jump out. If you make a mistake here and you're not focused on it, you'll hear it better than if you make a mistake in the bass.
Right.
Okay.
And so, from a timing perspective, the way that I would hear that is I would be, well, I would, I'd forget the ands I wouldn't hear basically, right?
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1,
Almost. Wait, so those bass notes weren't right. Try again.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Nope. Start again.
1, 2.
No. 2 wasn't right.
2 was right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's still one more finger, right? You still got the and of 4.
Oh.
No, no. Not quite. Not quite. Yeah, most of those were right. There were like just two or three kind of towards the end that got a
Yeah.
little out, but then you dialed it back in and got back on track.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So
Okay.
that just has to get completely subconscious, to where you don't have to put that much concentration in on it, but you still have to for a while, to really focus in and making sure that it's right.
Right.
Yeah. And then now let's do the same thing then on the A chord now, though.
Good.
Good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so that was good. Most of those were right too, and I think you could feel if it got messed up, you got it right back on track and got
Right.
got back in there.
Right.
Then of course the B7 does introduce another element of confusion. Now your left hand has to play too.
Right. Yeah. That's yeah. Well. Okay.
Now just do all four bass notes.
Nope.
Yeah. So I would definitely practice that just like you are there without any fingers even, because that's the new element, is moving this finger with your left hand while when you're going down there. And so again, we've got another layer of stuff
Right.
here.
Yeah.
Don't move that yet. That finger doesn't go there.
Oh, yeah. I don't have to move it. Yeah, I'm going the other way.
Right. Yeah. Now I get those bass notes? No. No, no, no.
What am I
Hold
doing?
on. There. No, no, no. The bass is still. Nope, you're still not getting to the second bass note. Yeah, there. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's coming along.
Yeah.
So I think at this stage with the finger picking, don't worry so much about going even through the progression. We'll work on that more in the strumming when we'll talk about that in just a couple minutes. So
Okay.
because you can see this is taking a lot of concentration you got to really be focused on just one thing at a time. So I like the idea of just stay on an E chord for like 4 measures. then go to an A chord for 4 measures. And chances are the first measure or two of that A, there's a good chance the bass is going to get messed up. So actually, when you go to A, don't start counting 4 measures until you've got the bass right.
Okay.
Okay, so like the first change for A, and so you got to really listen to the bass. You could even, there's nothing wrong with even looking down here, because you don't have to do this blind either, because it might be easier to tell if you hit the right bass notes if you're looking than just swinging blindly.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's definitely okay to look down there at this stage.
At your right hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And there are, and I generally, usually that's not the advice I give people, but at for this, it's perfect. Usually I want you to not look at your right hand at all, but it's like you need one more, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, I guess here. One more way to look at the evidence and see if, so sometimes your ear may not hear it, but your eyes will tell you, oh, that can't be right,
Right.
So, but
there's a certain mental picture that there's a certain mental photograph of.
Yeah. Anyway, so just some more, another few hundred repetitions of that, and this will become to where you don't have to think about it as much, and then you can think more about the song and putting the chords together. So now if we go into strumming it though, one thing I want to point out too. So and I probably do this in the lesson, but in finger picking, we're playing four bass notes in a measure. We're playing quarter notes, right? But in strumming, if you're using a pick, or even if you're doing this with your thumb and strumming, which could go either way, you only play 2 bass notes in a measure.
Okay.
Okay, and you play a bass note on beats 1 and 3. Right. And those 2 bass notes are the same as they would be if you were finger picking it. They're the same, still bass notes 1 and 3.
Right.
But what we have is strums on the off beats now. Now on beats 2 and 4, we're strumming.
Right. Okay.
So let's hear that on your E chord.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Is it the 5? It is a.
Yeah, you want to be alternating, because again, that would be our 3rd bass note in the finger picking on an E chord. What we play on beat 3 is the 5th string, not the 4th, right?
Yeah, it's the 5th string. Yeah.
Okay. And then we want to try to separate the zones better of when you strum and when you hit a bass note. So when you hit a bass note and then go into the strumming, aim for like only the top 3 strings. You don't want to hear really the middle strings as much. You don't want the bass notes getting blended in with the strumming like this. See, that's real boomy, and I'm not hearing this cleanly. And so you want to hear the bass and not have those bass notes get hit. So one way to think about this is the 4th string you should never hit in this in this song. The 4th string, you should never hear it. Okay. Now that's a bit extreme, but that's kind of a way. It's like our dividing line between the bass notes and the strumming. So the strum has to focus on the top 3 strings.
Okay.
That's okay. It's okay to hit the wrong one as long as you know you did.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I'm still barely hearing the 1st string. Like even there, you're not getting even on that up. You're not getting enough oomph on the 1st string. So you kind of need to follow that bass note through a little further, so that when you come up, you really hear the 1st string clearly. Yeah. Good. Could you hear that? Can you hear when you hit the wrong one when you get the fourth string in
Oh
there?
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
See, it's a
Yeah.
little easier to identify this than in the finger picking because there's less going on, right? You only have two bass notes to focus on,
Right.
you know.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm gonna keep going there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now go to A. Let's hear what happens on hear how it works on the A chord.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you're hitting bass notes like this, are you stopping that on the?
I'm just about to get to that. Um,
Okay.
so, um, the way I'm getting those bass notes clean is I'm doing what's called a rest stroke with the pick, meaning I'm coming in at an angle something like this, so that the tip of the pick hits the sixth string, and then the fifth string stops me because I'm landing. Like, I don't know if you can see that very well, but my thumb is touching the fifth string right here, barely, right?
Okay.
But when I hit the sixth string, look where my thumb is. It's not on the string, right? So in other
Right.
words, I'm just getting the tip of the pick there.
Right.
So, right. So if this is the pick, this much of the pick is hitting the sixth string,
Yeah.
and this much of the pick is hitting the fifth string. And so the fifth string stops me from going, with just like the right amount of force.
Right.
So that's what we call a rest stroke. It's more common in classical guitar playing when you're playing with your fingers, and if you want to hit a string really hard, you do that. You use the string below because you can only do so much pulling it out. I can't put that much force on it, or my hand's gonna go flying. So rest strokes, particularly on nylon string guitars, are really important. But we use the same technique when hitting bass notes. But that also opens up a door of, well, that means I'm not keeping up this that stops me for a second from keeping my motion going. So you really have to develop the touch of hitting it, coming to rest, and then following through as if it's all one thing. But you can see my hand stopping for an instant there, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that doesn't make this happen. See, those are all late. Now, this is where this song being in swing time actually buys you a little bit of time there because we've got the extra hesitation before we need the up,
Right.
right? But
Right.
so one thing you could practice, like a technique to get better at this, would be forget about the ups, even forget about the song. Just practice getting that idea of a rest stroke, and then just strum it down. And you can hear how accurately and strong those bass notes come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. One more thing though. Don't start the strum from this stopped point. So you're not going to do this. You actually have to bounce off that string. So you kind of use it as a little trampoline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely suggest kind of approaching this incrementally, you know, like, so there's like about 5 or 6 really important little techniques that all have to go right here for this to sound great.
Right.
You know, I sort of underrated this as a good song for beginners. But it's because I don't have enough songs that I even consider that beginners could tackle. You know, I mean, some of the songs I've put up are just god awful horrible, you know, and stuff. But this has all these really good techniques in there that everybody can improve on, you know, and stuff. So, and it didn't have too many bar chords or stuff like that. But all of these, everything we're doing with the right hand here is really, really important stuff.
Okay.
So the next incremental thing that I'd say here is don't worry about the first up. Do just like what you were doing there. Hit the bass and do a down and the little up after there, and then the next bass note. So, and this will sound fine throughout the whole song. It doesn't have to be this. It'll sound fine with just this. And that'll really have you'll be defining each stroke a whole lot better and hearing that, oh, that's what I want it to sound like. I just want to hear bomb, da da bomb, da da bomb, right? Okay. So head it, you know, work on it that way first.
Okay. I'm still missing the fourth though.
Yeah, let's
well,
yep.
Just dealing with these down here.
Yeah, aim for 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, then the next step with this is now work on the chord progression, but not while you're working on those techniques. Those kind of have to be done as drills to get till they get easier, right? Right. So then to start to work on memorizing the song, just try it with a strum that's comfortable for you. Maybe just a folk strum. Down, down, up, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
And now, then what you're kind of working on is your ear to hear when the chords have to change.
Right.
You know, so now you're singing the song in your head, and you could even do this without that strumming pattern going. You could just hit each chord once for each measure and try to dial in. There's a storm across the valley. I need a chord here, right? Clouds are rolling in. I need a chord here, B7. Afternoon is heavy on my shoulder. And so this song has, when I'm working with people on various ear training things and stuff like that, there are 5 common keys we play in on the guitar: G, D, C, A, and E. You know, which are all our normal open major chords, and those are the keys we tend to see songs in. If we use a capo, of course, that changes it to something that we don't even think about what it changes it to. And I want people to get used to playing through a really simple progression, just a series of four chords: 1, 4, 5, 1. So that you get used to what that sounds like in each key. And so in E, that would be our E, A, B7, E. And you can always make chord 5 a 7th chord, or it could be a major chord, but making it a 7th chord really helps your ear dial it in. Oh yeah, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear a 7th chord on chord 5, you know? Right. And so a lot of times I'll tell people, practice that in all 5 keys, but 2 different ways. One is what I just did there, 1, 4, 5, 1. Yeah. But then you also want to hear 1, 4, 1, 5, 1. So that you hear 1 going to 4 and coming back to 1, and then 1 going to 5 and coming back to 1.
Okay. Which
didn't happen if we just go 1, 4, 5, 1. Then you just hear 4 and 5 next to each other. Right? But so if you run through those 2 progressions, and in like all those keys, so if we were going to do this in D, the first one would be D, G, A7, D, right? And that's kind of a good thing to do at the beginning of any song you're about to play, just to get your ear in that key. You know, if you're going to play a song, anyway. But that would be like another good little sideline warm up practice to have.
Yeah.
And then of course the other progression in D would be D to G, and back to D. And that sounds like hymn type music, you know, like the ending to an amen kind of thing or something, you know. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's you got like 4 weeks worth of work right here anyway now for the next.
That sounds like it. Yeah. So just do that through all the open keys,
Yeah.
and that'll okay.
So do it in A. Do it in A.
Okay. So if we're doing it in A, we're going from A to D to E.
Yeah. Yeah. Do it in G now. Oh, and don't forget, you can use the 7th chord on 5. So you could have gone to E7s in all there.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And that will really help you hear the difference between 4 and 5 better, because 5 is where you're going to hear the tension of a 7th chord.
Right.
You know? So do that same thing in A using E7 now instead of E.
Okay.
Careful, wait. So which one is E7?
What?
E7 is what?
Oh,
No, that's A7. E7
is E7. E7.
Yeah. Okay.
There
So
we go.
that's what. Okay. So do that again. Do that thing in A again then.
Okay. We didn't
First
do
finger.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, make sure that E still didn't come out very clear. Make sure that you get the bass notes, especially when you play an E chord. You got to get all 6 strings. That's why that E didn't sound very strong, because I didn't hear the E in the bass.
Okay.
In your first finger. Wait, you got to have an E. Your first. Yeah. That's what E7's got to sound like. Yeah.
I don't know why I'm having such a problem with that.
Yeah. Now there's an easier way to play. There's a shorter way to play E7. Do you remember what it is?
No.
Okay. Go back to E. Just E major. Okay. And what note did you add to make it E7?
I would need to get rid of that.
No, the E7 you just played a minute ago. How'd you play?
Oh, I just played it a minute ago. A D.
Okay. So D is the note we need to make this chord E7. So where else could you get a D?
Right here.
Right. That's the easy E7.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And be sure to get the E in the bass. Make sure you hit the 6th string when you start. Yeah. 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 And after you've so after you've been doing this for a little while with those in like all 5 of those keys, it'll get much easier to now just listen to a song and hear, oh, I don't even know what key they're in, but they must have gone to 4 there, and now they went someplace else, and that wasn't 1. It's like you might be able to start recognizing progressions that you hear. One of my students yesterday, Sandy as a matter of fact, was working on a Chris Christopherson song, and a lot of songs of his songs and that whole singer-songwriter country stuff, really don't use, they're just like this. They might use all three major chords and maybe one minor chord. And, you know, after you've, again, as you've done this a little bit while longer, you'll be able to hear that in songs, you know, that it's like, oh, that started on, anyway. So
Right.
starting to recognize the sounds of 1, 4, and 5 is really, really useful. And that would make then memorizing a song like Back Home Again get easier, because you'll start hearing, because what it does is it goes from E to A to B7 and back to E. It's 1, 4, 5, 1. It's just that it's two measures of each one, you know?
Right.
And so, you know, so doing this in the key of E, E to A to B7 to E. And now you can associate that with this progression. When it gets into the next part, we hear 4 and now it's back home.
Sure.
You know, so work on that a little bit too, on kind of like, you know, hearing these chords rather than trying to memorize them the way they looked on the page. Photographic memories are not good for music. You know?
Probably, yeah. Probably for each one of these combinations, I'm sure there's some song that is going to pop out for every one of them.
1, 4, 1, 5. Hey, where did we go? Days when the rains came down in the hollow, playing a new game. So, you know, songs that you already know, analyzing more of the numbers of the chords as the progression rather than, when did that G go to D? Well, it went to D when it needed to get to chord 5, you know,
Right.
instead of, was that the third or fourth measure of the fifth line? You know, it's like,
Right.
so
Okay.
yeah, when you hear or talk to people that are really good at this, it might seem like, how do you possibly remember all that stuff? They don't. They figure it out every time in real time.
Uh-huh.
You know, or that's a little bit extreme, but it's, you know, this happens to me. If people sometimes ask me, hey, do you know this? And I say, sure, it goes like this. And I'll start writing it out for them. I'll say, how do you have that memorized? He says, I don't. I'm figuring it out right now. You know, it's like I'm singing the song in my head, and I can hear that it's got to do this, this, and this. You know, so
Yeah.
but that's a lot of years of doing this too.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So starting, I'll probably anchor this with starting this around Back Home Again.
Yeah.
And I've got the picking technique and the bass playing, finger picking stuff. Work on that, all of that stuff. But then take the sequences, the 1, 4, 5, and take that in the direction of 1, 4, 1, or 1, 4, 5, and 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 4.
Yeah.
Those combinations.
Yeah.
And just trying to work on that and see if I can. I'll see if I can come up with songs that occur in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when I was taking like ear training, theory classes back in college and stuff, another thing you want to be able to recognize is how to sing certain intervals. Like you practice singing a scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, or something like that. Then you start skipping notes, do, mi, so, which is 1, 3, 5, which is a chord, you know?
Right.
So you want to be able to recognize how to get from any note to any other note. And many times you do that by associating a song that has that skip like right in the beginning.
Okay.
And there are a few that stand out. Like like sometimes people would have trouble recognizing an octave. But then there's songs like that starts with an octave jump. So if you hear something, it sounds like, oh, that's the beginning of Over the Rainbow. Oh, that's an octave. You know?
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Here's another strange one. That interval is really weird.
Yeah.
It's called a tritone. It's C to F sharp. But it's how Maria, you know, so it's like, oh man, if that sounds like Maria, it's that, you know. So, okay, probably enough for today.
Okay, yeah, that's plenty. Great, thank you. And I'll let you know the week after next.
Yeah, just keep me posted, and I'll send you a link to this. I've recorded the whole thing here, so you don't have to worry about everything we talked about, because we went through a lot, you know.
You did.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Neil.
All right, good luck with the whole episodes coming up.
Yeah, no problem. All right.